Well, this has just blown my mind. I tell you what, I'm sorry to say this, but this might affect my VR use a little bit. This video is proudly sponsored by the Tobi Eye Tracker 5, which is your all-in-one solution for head and eye tracking in your flight sim, especially if you're struggling with VR performance. Even I really enjoy using the Tobi Eye Tracker simply because it's so easy to use and you can enjoy full graphics fidelity in your flight sim without having to worry about really low performance. The Tobi Eye Tracker works with a whole range of different games as well, not just flight sims, and the eye gaze, as you can see here, works incredibly well even with sunglasses. It sits very neatly at the bottom of your monitor, and the quick and easy setup, even presets which are preloaded, means you can jump straight into your games and flight sims in a matter of moments. I have a full review of the Tobi Eye Tracker 5, and even though I'm a VR flight sim channel, I actually really recommend it for all of you out there. Right now there is a 15% discount if you order your Eye Tracker 5 between the 19th of January and the 9th of February. And further to this, you can actually win a free Eye Tracker 5 if you enter the sweepstake, which is in the link in the description below. The very best of luck to you all. Hello folks, welcome back to the channel, and let me just turn this down, it's a bit loud in my headset. I thought I'd show you something a bit different today. I'm not using a VR headset. Obviously you can see my face, which is something you don't see very often, so apologies that you're seeing my face. But anyway, I've just bought a new monitor, and I thought maybe I could document this journey, shall we say, because I'm used to using a monitor which only has 1080p. Okay, I've used this Asus monitor, it's a 32-inch 1080p for years, but I thought I'd finally change and upgrade to a 4K monitor. But not only is this 4K, I've decided to go for a QD-OLED 4K monitor. And what that essentially is, it's a hybrid display technology that kind of merges the properties of OLED with quantum dots. So basically, like, unlike a traditional OLED display which uses white light filters through color filters, QD-OLED panels utilize blue OLED light that passes through a layer of red and green quantum dots. A bit pretty technical, but basically it allows for more precise color reproduction, brighter, well, way brighter levels than more traditional OLED monitors, and it also helps prevent burn-in. So why am I telling you all this? This is a VR channel, I know. Well, the reason is I wanted to see how it felt going from a 1080p monitor to a 4K QD-OLED screen, and compare it to my sort of crop of 4K OLED VR headsets. That's the Megan X, Pimax Crystal Super and Bigscreen Beyond, but mainly the 4K ones, to see how they compare visually. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole 2D versus VR debate because it's obvious VR always wins. Right now I'm looking at a screen. It's an insanely beautiful screen. I mean, it absolutely is blowing me away. But at the end of the day, I'm not inside this aircraft. I don't feel like I'm here in Scotland. However, something has shocked me with this. I was not expecting to be this blown away with the beauty of this monitor, and I'll just show you a little bit now of me testing it for the first time. Obviously you're seeing it through your own monitor or whatever you're watching this on, so it's not going to really come across very well, but I was absolutely stunned with a few things, and it's got me thinking about VR differently as well now. So I must admit, even though 4K OLED in a VR headset is insanely sharp, this monitor is still a bit sharper, and I wasn't expecting that. I think it's because it's just insanely sharp across the entire screen. Now, the second thing is the biggest deal for me, which really blew me away. Regardless of the OLED colours and the 4K crispy visuals, this is the biggest thing for me, and that is HDR. That's high dynamic range, and it refers to well, basically enhancing the contrast between the darkest and lightest parts of the image. So for example, you're not probably going to see this on this screen very well. It's the same deal as VR really, you've got to see it with your own eyes. But this here, the darkness of the clouds and the shadows against the sunlight, which is hitting this mountaintop here, is absolutely insane. It really is so bright. It looks like a bright summer's day, but yet I still get those deep inky blacks. That's something that even now VR headsets can't really do very well, and it's really got me thinking the next shift, the next advancement I want to see with VR headsets is to have HDR support, or at least have that implemented in the sim as well. Now, I do believe the Megan X has HDR support, but I'm not quite sure what that means in terms of how it can be interjected into the sim. It's something that I need to look into more. But to be honest, it might just be a waste anyway at this point in the technology, because VR headsets OLED displays are just not bright enough to be able to utilise HDR perfectly, you know? And annoyingly, by the way, I've had to turn HDR off in the sim because it doesn't record very well. Because if I turn it on now in the software, oops, sorry, I'm so used to going to VR settings, general, and by the way, this is what I'm running, everything on ultra settings for this, everything. If I turn HDR on, it makes the screen on the OBS image look really horrible, which is a shame, but if you just stick with that for a minute, now I can see a huge difference there. Like, for example, the light shafts going down to that valley are so bright compared to this image here, and that you just don't see that in VR right now. So I was not expecting to sort of experience those things with a OLED monitor. I was expecting, if anything, just to really appreciate the sharpness and the colours, but no, it's gone way beyond that for me. And I will say now, folks, that this particular monitor, which I bought, by the way, I didn't get it sent for free or anything like that, it's definitely going to affect my VR time. Right, folks, so I've now just popped over to London City for this quick test, and yeah, obviously we've got inky blacks here, absolutely friggin' beautiful visuals. I didn't think I would get this excited about a monitor, folks, so I think that's a shock in itself, really. But the difference here, even though, you know, this scene with a 4K OLED VR headset would be the same in terms of its blacks, it's the city lights that they absolutely pop out, like, way brighter. It's shockingly good. And the clarity of the displays, while they're very similar, they're just a lot easier to look at, you know, there's no doubt about it. I can read everything incredibly well, and that's because I'm not looking through a lens, really, let's be honest. You know, optics, it's made me realise as well, optics are just absolutely imperative going forward with VR headsets as well. I can't get over the visuals here. I'm not sure if you can see the FPS because it's an overlay. I'm getting 75 frames per second at the moment, full TAA mode, not using frame generation or anything like that. Still get that little stutter noticed in 2D mode. So let's just look about here with the lighting for a moment. A few clouds here. Oh, it's just absolutely insanely beautiful. It really is. And yeah, really, I know it's a strange video to make because this is the VR channel, but I think if anything it's probably more interesting because I'm so used to VR that this has really surprised me. I can definitely see myself, in fact, something I really wish I was using, the Tobi eyetracker 5, because that would make it even better when I'm looking around. I need to install that with this monitor. But this is just a sort of first impressions, really. I wanted to get them on camera, and I am going to be using this for at least a couple of weeks without any VR at all, simply because it's that amazing. And there's other things like, you know, I'm a gamer as well, not just a flight simmer. I can't wait to try Avatar again, you know, Stalker 2, all of the like Assassin's Creed, really nice high fidelity games with this screen. Now, if you're wondering where I bought this monitor from, it was just from Amazon, and I think it was supposed to be £900, but I got a deal on it, 650 quid, which I think is a pretty damn good deal. for something of this high fidelity. So to end the video, folks, I thought it'd be interesting to go straight from this, the exact same settings and everything else, straight into VR. Obviously VR is going to be more of a wow factor because it's VR. I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on the clarity and the colours and some of the other aspects that I'm loving with this monitor. I thought it'd be quite an interesting A/B comparison. So if you are still here, I'm now going to switch to this and let's see how it feels. Here we go. Right then, folks, so we're now in the Mega Nex and I've got it at full brightness, and the things that really shock me, apart from the fact that VR is the only way to fly, folks, and I'm not trying to tell you that flying on a monitor is better, because it just isn't. There's no comparison to that in terms of the 3D aspect. I'm now inside this plane and it's amazing. But what has surprised me is, even though this is 4K, the clarity, whilst it's absolutely immense in this, it's plenty sharp enough, don't get me wrong, it isn't quite as sharp as a 4K monitor. So, and some of you out there that are running 4K monitors, you're probably going to go, well, obviously that's the case. I don't know that, because this is my first impressions, okay? I'm just showing you from my personal perspective. I'm used to a 1080p monitor and I've just upgraded to a 4K QD-OLED, and that's why it's blowing me away as much as this. It's a bit like going from probably a Rift S to, you know, a Varia Aero or something, or a Pimax Crystal Super 50 PPD or Somnium VR1, you know. But actually the colours are as nice. They are absolutely as nice. They're the same, really. And the brightness is surprisingly very good. It's just the lack of HDR. And that's something that maybe a Sobo can implement. Just means that the monitor has an edge when it comes to just popping out those incredible bright colours. And that's obviously something that is a limitation of this technology at the moment. We do need the new generation of micro OLED to be able to really utilise full brightness that we really want. But this is, without question, still the way to fly, folks. Don't get me wrong, it's still amazing. It really is. This is superb. But it has got me thinking that I'm going to start flying a bit more using my monitor, just because it's a very different experience. Gotta say though, I'm quite impressed with my 5090. I've got everything dialed up to the max, same settings, ultra settings, TAA mode, and I'm getting 40 frames per second over London, and I'm at 80 Hz, which means that this feels really smooth. But in terms of raw clarity, the monitor does take the honours. So yeah, that's just my first impressions really of using an OLED monitor. I've never done it before, folks. I know I'm a little bit behind. You know, I'm sure most of you on the channel are already rocking these new QD-OLED monitors, and I'm probably the last person to actually try one. I don't know, but in any case, this is a massive upgrade for me, and yeah, just thought I'd share that with you on the channel today. Thank you so much for watching as always. Please feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon. Take care and bye for now.